we call upon alumna of the School of Psychology, Ms. Sophie Butler, to address the congregation.
Pro-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, graduates, family and friends. I want to start by congratulating each and every one of you who is graduating today. I'm sure it is a day that you have dreamed of for years, and I'm also sure at times it felt far away and maybe even out of reach. But you have made it here today, and that is no small achievement. So while you wait nervously for your names to be called out, I hope you know that this is something to be extremely proud of, and I'm elated to be here with you in this enchanting building. For the sake of anyone who doesn't know who I am, which is everyone except my parents, my name is Sophie Butler. I'm a content creator, writer, and disability advocate. Before all of that, though, I was a student here at the University of Lincoln, and I graduated 6 years ago studying psychology, just like all of you. Although when I first arrived in Lincoln, I never imagined I would be up here giving this speech one day. I was such a bundle of nerves that I cried in my introductory lecture because I already missed my dad. You are allowed to laugh at that, it is still extremely uncool. But I wiped away my tears and eventually threw myself into this place. And those 3 years I spent here at Lincoln remain 3 of the best years of my life. I learnt a lot here. I became really passionate about social psychology, and I think I just about grasped cognitive psychology. I'll take it. I also learned some lessons that could not be taught in the echoes of the Minerva building. Life lessons that had to be learnt the hard way. This is the place where I learnt about love, friendship, heartbreak, work ethic, and not just who I am, but most importantly, who I want to be. But despite those 3 movie-like years, I very nearly did not make it to my graduation day. And I'm unfortunately not being metaphorical. On July the 5th, 2017, just 2 months before it was time for me to walk across this stage, I nearly died in an accident that left me paralysed. I was 21, I had just got my uni results, and my whole entire world was ripped out from underneath me. I should have been out celebrating with friends. Instead, I was in a bed in intensive care while they took it in turns to nervously sit around me. A lot of people pray for loved ones when they're at their hospital bedside, but my friends know me very deeply, and so they had 2 slightly different trump cards to play to give me strength. That was 1, the birth of Beyoncé's twins, and 2, our upcoming graduation day. A topic that caused panic amongst the hospital staff, as they, quite rightfully, did not want to raise false hopes that this would be something that I could still attend. I mean, it was less than 2 months away, and I had just had my body torn apart and was relying on a cocktail of IV bags to make it through the day. Wasn't looking realistic. But because here's the thing they don't tell you about becoming paralysed. They don't show you this in the movies. You simply don't wake up the next morning, are told you can't walk, and are then given a wheelchair. I wish it was that simple. When I did finally wake up, there was weeks of waiting and just lying there. You see, I was waiting for a place to open up at a spinal cord rehabilitation centre. Not only was this where I would start physio to begin to heal my body, this is where you learn all the wheelchair stuff. How to get out of bed, how to dress yourself, how to actually push a wheelchair, which, by the way, is so much harder than it looks. I needed a place to open up at this centre in time for me to learn enough skills to be able to make the journey to Lincoln and to make it through graduation day. And I was told it was very unlikely, but I refused to believe that. There was not a timeline in any universe where I wasn't going to graduate with all my friends. So one evening, from the neurological ward of Romford Hospital, I ordered my cap and my gown. I put on Beyoncé's Life is But a Dream documentary while I hoped a space would open up. And it did, a few weeks later. Call it luck, call it manifestation, call it the power of Beyoncé. It doesn't matter. I was finally in rehab and ready to put in the hard work to get onto this stage. I pushed my body further than I knew it could go in a short space of time, and it paid off, because I rolled across the stage with my dad by my side on the 6th of September 2017, just 2 months after nearly dying. And it was a magical day. Not anything like I'd been imagining for 3 years, but it was my day. You might have guessed by now that this is a speech about achievement and triumph over adversity. But I want to redefine what achievement can look like. Because although I did achieve my goal of attending graduation, the very next day, I was waking back up in rehab, where I would be for another 2 months. It was like plummeting back to earth with an almighty thud. I set my own bar too high with that story. It was the most inspiring thing I'd ever done, and I thought I'm just not going to beat that. My achievements that followed the days after included being able to wheelie up a curb after falling out of my chair 4 times, attending therapy, and only passing out in physio once. A thud to earth indeed. Although this temporarily set a disappointment in me, at some point I learned to see the value in those smaller achievements, and this allowed me to see them as dots that connected an invisible string through my life. One day, we were celebrating me being able to get out of the car by myself, and before I knew it, I was celebrating being the first wheelchair user to be on the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine. Although our stories will be wildly different, we will all experience different trials and different successes. The one thing we all have in common is that we will all leave this great hall and try to follow up the astounding achievement we made here today, and that is a scary prospect for anyone. So if I could give you any advice, it would be to count every single inch of progress you make, no matter how small it feels. Build a community around you who will be honest with you, and don't forget to seek out joy on the journey. Because while your degree might be an impressive achievement, and believe me, it is, what is just as important for the next journey of your life is the life lessons you also learnt here. They will be your tools which will help you triumph over adversity. Now, when I Googled how to finish a graduation speech, it told me to finish with a quote from a philosopher or Shakespeare, which is great, because I know the entire discography of the modern-day Shakespeare, Taylor Swift. So I'll leave you with a lyric of Swift's that I would love for you to remember during those inevitable moments of challenge. And that is, I couldn't be sure, but I had a feeling so peculiar that this pain wouldn't be for evermore. And then if that fails, you could always just shake it off. Congratulations, everyone, on this amazing achievement. Thank you for giving me the honor of addressing you today, because it is an honor. Not many people get 2 graduations. And thank you to my community who made my whole journey possible. I've had the time of my life fighting dragons with you.